D&D Players, what was the dumbest PC death you've ever seen? Let us know in the comments below, and if you win the Darwin Award, well, you get a prize. I don't know what it is, but I'll work on it. We were playing a campaign and were quite early on. One of our guys was playing a warlock who could only operate when he was high, so this inevitably meant that we had to spend a whole bunch of time trying to find drugs for him to take, which got old real quick, let me tell you. We were camping near a swamp one night and the party was mostly asleep, except the warlock, who watched a giant toad hop into the clearing. He then decided to lick it to get high. The party woke up to him being devoured whole and then failing his saves. Nothing of value was lost. My cousin is our DM. Well, he invited one of his friends to join us. Said friend is not a great dude. Decided to leave 3 sessions later despite each time we played he said he's in it for the long haul. No harm done, but my cousin said he could choose to be killed off however he wanted and he'd honor it. He thought it would be funny if he died by, and I quote, lowly snoo snoo. I really wish it was something silly or casually dumb, but I'm also not surprised as he's an edgelord. There's a word that starts with a P that I'd be calling this person, as well as the FBI. PC went to investigate a doorway with runes around it. DM decided that meant they stuck their head through, accidentally activating the portal to hell, decapitating them. Didn't even get a roll. Dumb death, but not the PC's fault. After 2 years in playing and DMing, I have not experienced a PC death. But I have a feeling I'm going to experience one in my next session. We just fought a wizard in their base and survived, but used a lot of resources. There's a large contingent of paladins and clerics waiting outside the base. The paladins hate arcane casters, and we have a wizard in our party. My DM did let me roll to survive, but there was a room with a magic furnace that would randomly choose a target to attack on its turn. At the start of the round, I went first and stood my ground thinking that my party would join me. Well, each one of them ran off to cover that I simply didn't think about, so when the furnace attacked, there was only me. It crit against my sweet little sorcerer and did so much damage, I basically melted. It was my first game with that group, and the DM felt bad. He's still my DM decades and games later, though. Oh, this wasn't a game I was DMing. A few friends and myself were playing a game for a first-time DM. First level party just to keep it simple. One of the players decided to pick up another character and toss him across the cave. I think he was just trying to be funny and joke around. Well, the DM decided to roll falling damage. Just 1d6, not that big of a deal. The character landed next to a small pond in the cave, and a giant toad popped out and attacked the character. Made a hit and did damage. This knocked the character unconscious. That gave the giant toad advantage on a grapple, which it succeeded. And the toad ate the character whole and disappeared back into the water. The player who died was pissed, but the rest of us were laughing our asses off. One of my players temporarily lost his character and had to create a replacement. He decided to play an orphaned child that specializes in fire magic. Mind you, the party was in an area where public displays of magic are outlawed, and arcane magic is despised. Within the first 5 minutes of introducing this new character, he sets a commoner on fire, killing them, and ends up getting arrested. Since the party doesn't know the character yet, and he clearly murdered someone in front of their eyes, they decided to not get that new character out of jail. While the character may not be dead, it definitely never saw the light of day again during the campaign. A tree fell on another party member and killed them. In the process, it crushed an obviously evil artifact that the party member had been screwing around with. Crushing it released an immensely powerful evil spirit that promptly possessed my character. I rolled super poorly, and my character's soul was effectively eaten, and then became the new big bad evil guy. My next character was then killed by the possessed first character during the final fight. Well, the death itself wasn't too dumb, but the aftermath was pretty embarrassing. My level 5 dwarf warlock caught a crit during a boss fight and wound up face-planting into a lake. To keep him from drowning before making death saves, our artificer snagged him with a grappling hook, and our sorcerer cast levitate on him. He spent the rest of the combat bobbing gently above the party like a balloon. playing a ranger in the Mad Mage's dungeon, was exploring what we thought was a safe area, and was searching a hallway alone when the party got ambushed, and I was killed by a golem and a spellcaster that had me locked in this little dead end. Golem was too dumb to leave me unconscious and just kept hitting my unconscious body.
Why are you still alive? Boom, boom!
We were in the middle of a calamity event. An NPC was basically cursed by a djinn so that everyone that got near her would die. We saw this happen in real time to 2 other NPCs. PC said they wanted to get close to her. The DM "Are you sure'd" him several times. Then flat out said, "You are going to die if you do this." Well, the PC was new. It was like their second session, so DM was trying to be nice. PC still decided to get close, then died. Hopefully they didn't complain about that. They were sailing on a boat and being attacked by a sea dragon. It would fly over the boat and breathe its brine, ice breath, and then dive into the water. They got it to land on the boat and were trying to kill it. It was almost dead and started to escape. One of the players decided to quickly tie a rope to themselves and leap into the water after it. However, they were at the front of the boat. Also, the dragon had friends in the water, so while the PC is being keel-hauled by their own hand, they are getting munched at by these polar bear fish thingies. One of them rolled a nat 1. I checked to see if they would hit the rope and they got a nat 20. The fish and dragon then took turns eating the PC underwater since he had no swim speed or way of really fighting underwater. I think he just wanted to die, because afterwards he said he wanted to see what would happen. A classic bow and arrow ranger was afraid of missing a bow shot with an acid-covered arrow against a succubus. Decides to take their acid vial and smash it on the succubus by hand. The succubus had a dominate reaction when you entered their radius. The ranger was forced to drink a vial of acid and died outright. It was funny in hindsight, but so depressing and dumb in the moment. The consequences for this weren't quite as immediate as some others, but a player got their PC assassinated via stupid actions and the exact opposite of precautions to mitigate the consequences. Here's the scoop. Party has just gained access to teleport and heads to the big city to do some shopping. Random town encounter includes a complete flavor option. The Duke, uncle to the king, is coming down the road at speed and his outriders are clearing the way. Peasants move, PCs move, but this one woman just won't move. The outriders shout again. She stays put. They draw steel, so does she. She took to the air to go over the escort and landed on the Duke's carriage. Then, she opened the door and let him get a good look at her before turning invisible and fleeing because she had just that moment realized maybe being surrounded by knights plus the Duke himself all armored up while traveling just in case this exact thing happened might have been a bad idea. A few days later, they go back to the same town. There are wanted posters up everywhere mentioning her by name with a substantial reward, dead or alive. Downside of her past work for the crown was that it didn't take long for the crown to find out who she was. She used a different face while in town that day, had a disguise, but otherwise did nothing about it. You know who works for that kind of reward money? Adventurers, just like her. You know who never picks a fair fight? Adventurers. And 3 guesses who can easily sneak past the handful of first-level guards the party had to keep random kobolds out? Yeah, once again, it's adventurers. Now, dedicated assassins are notorious for being unfair player killers. If they're any good at their job, they can be a real gotcha. That's why I ran the assassin with scrupulous attention to detail. Every opportunity at which they could be caught, and every round of combat was a chance for every PC, and even some NPCs to respond. I even verified sleeping arrangements, watch order, and security measures with the PCs. No surprise, their camp had already been hit by ghouls once already. They mostly tightened things up, except Wanted Girl explicitly stated she and her BBW werewolf girlfriend were bunking down as far away from everyone else as possible, with both a tent and a solid steel wall between them and reinforcements. She and her girlfriend were completely alone and asleep when the assassins struck. Everyone had a chance to notice them and intervene. Wanted PC even survived the coup de grace attempt and put up a fight for a couple of rounds. But by the time anyone got there, it was too late. The closest and fastest other PC arrived just in time to watch the assassin teleport out with Wanted Girl's body. So, that's how a simple flavor encounter escalated into a PC being removed from the campaign through sheer inability to read the room or consider consequences. Second level rogue, facing trial for some misbehaving. Part of the defense was that they're highly subject to influence by authority figures. The prosecution tells them on the stand to hit themselves as hard as they can. A quick question if they have to, and the judge says it's okay. Rolls a crit, knocked himself out, failed all 3 death saves. We couldn't believe it. He was found not guilty. My fiancé was the problem player at the table, never paying attention and causing issues with other players and intentionally fucking the story, and every other player has privately expressed issues with her and wanted her out of the game. I had described a standing army camped outside of a fortress they needed to get into, and had overlapping anti-magic fields waiting for the party to try to do something sneaky. My fiancé clearly wasn't paying attention, wild-shaped into a bird, flew into the field, and then fell to her death in the middle of the army. I had to end the session there. Funnily enough, that incident was what incited the breakup the following day, so in the grand scheme of things, it worked out pretty well. Hope everything goes well for you in the future, my guy. In a cave, as is tradition, and there's a gap between one side of a ravine and the other that also requires you to jump through kind of a hoop rock-shaped formation to make the jump. It was a long time ago, I don't remember 100% the specifics. The key thing to note, though, is we don't all have to make the jump. We could have very well sent one person across and then tied a rope. We knew this. We did not do this. First person up has like a +10 to acrobatics, and the DM is gonna let them make a check with it to jump through the hoop. They pass easily. This was their time to shine. Good job all around. Another player known for being particularly lucky on the dice as a joke just says,
Yeah, I do that too.
Verbatim. They don't have any of the skills to back it up, but okay, we can clown around a bit, right? They roll a 20, and we all cheer like we've never cheered before. Great meme moment, and fitting with our group. Third player then declares,
I'm going to do that too.
GM is slightly annoyed, but okay, whatever, sure. This player rolls a 20 as well, and we're getting even rowdier. Fourth player says it's their turn.
I can't wait to jump through the hoop.
They roll like 7, which because none of us except the first player had anything worth writing home about in any dex skills, they naturally fall and die. Still one of our all-time favorite meme moments, though, amongst our group. My player's party had an overly enthusiastic and reckless Damphir monk running on the walls, scouting ahead for guards during a heist mission. Well, he managed to draw their attention. He was knocked off the walls twice, got grappled by them, knocked unconscious, failed a death save, yet still managed to somehow get out while still away from the rest of the party, run back to the party, leading the guards towards them, and one of the guards then proceeded to kill the party's warlock in a single unlucky critical hit straight through the heart. The same warlock then managed to die 2 more times, sucked dry by a chasm, and cleaved in 2 by a minotaur during this campaign, which ended up becoming an ongoing joke. But that first death completely out of his control while the monk managed to get off scot-free always felt the stupidest. Yeah, I heard it too in my head, everybody. Shot through the heart. And you're not to blame. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in at the end of the vid. Make sure to leave the like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below, what was the dumbest PC death you've ever seen or experienced? We want to know both. And of course, if you want to support the channel, please join our membership program. It helps keep the lights on running and the videos on flowing. Toodaloo for now, please be safe out there.